Hello class, this is Mr. Neugebauer again. We're going to be going over lesson 4 in unit 2 here, and we're going to start by looking at this problem here that's actually probably applicable to a lot of you. This talks about cell phone plans, which almost all of you guys have a cell phone that you're on constantly, secretly texting and whatnot in class. But this is something that your parents have actually probably looked at, and you'll look at as you kind of get older and have to pay for your own cell phone. It's going, hey, at what point is which plan better? Okay, that's kind of what we're looking at here. Our questions are, for what values does plan A cost less? For what values does plan B cost less? And then it says, for what values do both plans cost the same? So if you're talking, with your friends, and depending on how many minutes you actually spend on the phone, you're going to want one plan or the other. So it says, a wireless company offers 2 cell phone plans. Plan A charges $24.95 per month, plus 10 cents per minute for calls. Plan B charges $19.95 per month plus 20 cents per minute. Use the questions to find when the 2 plans cost the same. What we're going to look at here is we're basically just solving essentially a 2-step equation here and plugging and chugging. So here we're just going to rewrite the question. We have $24.95 plus 10 cents per minute. So we're going to take our separate piece of paper here, so we can do it neatly. And I'm going to take $24.95 plus the 0.1 times initially 10 minutes and solve that out. So I take my calculator. There we go. Just basic math here, $24.95 plus the 0.1 times the 10. And I discover, hey, that plan right there charges me $25.95 for the first 10. Then I basically am just going to do the same thing for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, all the way to 70 minutes. So I'm going to do all of plan A first. So if you want to do that along with me with your calculator, you just take $24.95 plus 0.1 times 20. We discover that one is $26.95. Then I do it for 30 minutes, so I take the 24.95. So that's the monthly rate. You got to have $24.95 just to have the phone, plus the 10 cents, 0.1 for the number of minutes times 30 minutes. And there we get $27.95. Now you should notice a pattern starting to develop here. Notice for every additional 10 minutes, it's basically costing $1 more. So I can very quickly just kind of finish out the table by adding $1 for every additional 10 minutes. Now this is probably actually not a very realistic cell phone plan, but this is the one we're using. So now we have all of our values for plan A. Let's take a look at plan B. So for plan B, I basically do the same thing. I'm going to take $19.95, which is just the monthly rate just to have the phone. That's what you got to have even if you don't talk. Plus, now it's 20 cents a minute, so times M, minutes, which here is going to be a 10 to start with, times 10 minutes. So just to have the phone, we have $19.95. So this one is cheaper simply to have, but it costs more per minute. So plus 0.2 times 10. So that one's $21.95. And then we're going to plug in a 20 and basically have the same start. So we have $19.95 plus 0.2 times 20. We get $23.95. Then we do it again. $19.95 plus 0.2, this time times 30 for 30 minutes. So we have $25.95. Now, you should also notice a pattern here. For every increase of 10 minutes of talk time over here, we have an increase of actually $2 for this plan. So here I'm going up to $27.95. $2 more gets me $29.95. $2 more gets me $31.95. $2 more gets me $33.95. So to answer our questions here, and this is a great real-life situation where you go, hey, how much do I actually spend talking on the phone? Which plan is going to be better for me per month? So for what values does plan A cost less? Well, plan A starts off more, but the more you talk, it actually ties here, so it actually will cost less at 60 and 70 minutes. At what point does plan B cost less? Well, plan B starts off less, but it increases more, so it costs less all the way through 40 minutes. So I put 10 through 40. For what values do both plans cost the same? Well, that's this guy right here at 50 minutes. Okay? So that's kind of some of the stuff we're doing today. This is how equations work in real life. Let's take a look here at example 1. Turn the page. So here we have kind of what we'd call a multi-step equation where we have variables on both sides. Okay? Now the trick here, when you have variables on both sides, like notice what that means is we have 8 plus 4d equals 5d. All right? So when we do this, we need to get all of our d's together before we can do anything. So notice here in the example, it says, okay, you have an 8 here and you're adding 4d. Well, how do we get rid of adding 4d? We have to subtract 4d. So, but what we do to one side, we have to do the other. So we have 5d's here. Take away 4d's, that's going to leave us with 1d, which is right there, same as d. And then those cancel, so we're left with 8 equals 1d. Okay? Then you just can kind of plug in and check. We plug in an 8 in both places to then check. And we understand that if we do 8 times 4 plus 8, then 5 times 8, 40 equals 40. Okay? Now the way I've always taught my students to do this is I say take the variable that has the least and bring it to the more, or take it to the greater, because usually that will help you stay with positive numbers if you want, but it just kind of depends. As long as you do your work correctly, what you do to one side, you do to the other, no matter what you do, no matter which way you take the d's. If you would have brought the 5 over there or the 4 over there, you will end up getting the exact same answer. So this one here is a little bit more complicated just because we have the extra steps here with the regular numbers. But we take the less, 4n. How do we get rid of a positive 4n? Subtract 4n. We took it to the 6 because that one's greater. So 6 minus 4 is 2n minus 1 equals the negative 5 is left. Then we take the 1 over, because now it's basically just like a two-step equation that we've done in class for the last several days. We just add the 1, then divide by 2, and you get done. So let's take a look at A. Example A. It says 8a equals 5a plus 21. Alrighty? So here, I look for my variables. I have 1 there and 1 there. Thankfully, this side here has the less, so that's 5, that's 8. So I'm going to take the less to the greater. How do I get rid of a positive 5a? I subtract 5a. Don't forget to make your line. So then you just say, okay, I have 8 A's, call them apples, 8 apples, take away 5A, 5 apples. How many apples am I left with? I'm left with 3A equals what's left over here, 21. Now I want to get A by itself, so how do I get rid of multiplying by 3? I divide by 3, and we're left with A equals 21 divided by 3 is 7. Box or circled that answer. And then obviously if you're supposed to check, make sure you check. Okay? Now do B on your own. Stop the video, do B on your own. Alrighty, now that you've done that one on your own, let's take a look at the next example here. Okay? It says, Green's Gym charges a one-time fee of $50 plus $30 per session of personal training. So to show up to the gym and start costs $50, then $30 for every time you're with a personal trainer. A new fitness center charges, so a different one, charges a yearly fee of $250 plus $10 for each session with the trainer. So here you pay more money up front, but less per training session. Here you pay less money up front, the $50, but you pay more per training session. For how many sessions is the cost of the two plans the same? Okay, so this one kind of works it out basically for us, where it says the 50 plus 30 S's for sessions equals $250 plus 10 S once again for sessions. So if we work that one out, it basically, we just take the less to the more, subtract 10 from each side. We're left with 20 S's. No S's over here because they got rid of them. We're left with 250 equals the 50 plus 20S. Then we subtract the regular number 50 to go with the regular number 250 over here. We have 200 equals 20S. How do we get S by itself? We divide by 20, so S equals 10. So the cost is the same for 10 personal training sessions, okay? Okay, so now that we're done with that one, me and Miss Neely actually don't like this particular problem, so I made a different one for you guys to kind of compare the costs of two different things. This time we're not doing a gym, but we're going to do like online video game companies. So we have company A over here, and then company B over here. So both these companies allow you to basically just stream video games online, okay? The first one here says, hey, just to subscribe, it's going to cost you $18 a month. So this is your monthly rate, and then it's $2 for every game, all right? So then company B says, hey, we're not going to cost you anything. You can sign up for free, but every time you want to rent a game for a month, it's going to cost you $8, okay? So we're going to look at what point is company A better and at what point is company B better, all righty? So I'm going to start with my number of games here. So this is my games for 1 game, 2 game, 3 game, 4 game, 5 game, and 6 game. All right. Now I'm going to look at company A and company B. Now company A, if I do 1 game, I have to pay my $18 automatically, and then 1 game is going to cost me $2, so 18 plus 2, that's going to cost me $20 for 1 game. Okay? And so that equation is basically, we'll say the C, the cost for company A, is the $2 times G, that's $2 times game, plus the $18 startup fee. Company B's equation, C cost, will equal, well, it's $8 times G for every game, but plus 0 or nothing because there's no startup fee. So for 1 game for company B, I'm going to use that equation. 8 times 1 is simply $8. So here, company B is winning. Now what if I want to play 2 different games that month? Rent them for the month. Well, company A is going to be $2 per game times 2 games. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus the $18 startup fee. 4 plus 18, that's going to cost me $22. While company B, for the same amount, 2 games is 8 times the 2 G games. 8 times 2 is 16. So at that point, company B is costing me $16. Okay, still company B would be the better choice. But if you want to play 3 different games a month, let's take a look. 2 times 3, 3 for games. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 18. We're looking at $24 for 3 games. Here, company B, 8 games times 3, 8 times 3 is $24. And you notice at 3 games, if you play 3 games a month, the companies are the same. Okay? But what about at 4? So 2 times 4 is 8, plus 18. There it's 26. And then company B here, 8 times 4 is $32. So for 4 different games, that costs $32. So we know, starting at 4 games, company A becomes the better choice, even though you have to pay more up front. So if you're an avid gamer, that would be your company. All right? If you just play a couple games here and there, company B would probably be the choice you'd want to go with. Okay? So this is how equations kind of work in real life to help us make good decisions about things we do. Now, last example. I want you to look here at example 4, turn the page, there you go. So here, basically, we are using basically just some fractions instead of whole numbers with our variables. So we see 2/3 x minus 1 equals 9 minus 1/6 x. Well, I kind of have to compare here and see, because I want to take the less to the greater, which here 1/6 is less than 2/3. So here you see that they want to actually add, because it's minus 1/6, they want to add the 1/6 over to the greater which they made that 4/6. Now luckily you have a calculator that makes this rather easy for you. Well, not easy, but simpler. So you do that addition. 4/6x plus a 1/6x is 5/6x, minus the 1 still, equals only 9 because we got rid of that. That canceled out. Then we want to get, basically we're here, and now you're stuck with just a two-step equation like we've done in class several times. We have 5/6x minus 1 equals 9. You have multiplying and subtracting, so we get rid of the subtracting by adding first. 9 plus 1 is 10. Then you have 5/6, so we can either divide by 5/6 to get x by itself, or we can multiply by the reciprocal, 6/5. Okay? Here it shows the multiplying by 6/5. To get rid of it, those cancel. 10 times 6/5 is 12, so x equals 12. Let's now take a look at E. So I'm going to get out a new piece of paper here. There's not enough room to really do it here. If you want to do it over to the side, you can. I'm just going to get a piece of paper so I can keep it nice, neat, and organized. So I have 1/2 P plus 7 equals 3/4 P plus 9. Okay? Now, I know, because I've used these a lot, that 1/2 is less than 3/4. So I know I need to take this over. If you have trouble kind of knowing which fraction is less or more, just do a division problem. Just do 2, like 1 divided by 2, a fraction, 1/2, 1 divided by 2. Hit enter. We know is 0.5. Then do the 3/4. Do 3 divided by 4 is 0.75. You know 0.75 is more, so you'd know that one is more. So if you want to just divide and turn them into decimals to compare so you know which way to move the lesser to the greater, that'll help out. So here I know I want to move the 1/2. It's a positive 1/2 P, so I'm going to subtract a 1/2 P. I'm going to do the opposite. Make your line, subtract 1/2 P. So these cancel. I'm left with just a positive 7 over here, equals, well, I'm going to take 3/4, do 3/4 minus our 1/2, so we have 3/4 P, take away a 1/2 P, so we do 3, there's our fraction button, fourths minus 1/2, and that equals 1/4. So we're left with 1/4 P plus 9. Now, if you can kind of forget about the rest, and basically we just see a two-step equation here. So it's being multiplied by a 1/4 and added with 9. So we get rid of the adding 9 by subtracting 9. Do 7 minus 9, we get -2, equals 1/4 times P. All right? Now notice all my work is down the page. I'm crossing out neatly as I go. This is how me and Miss Neely want to see your work. Then, how do I get rid of multiplying by 1/4? I divide by 1/4. So in your calculator, you simply type in -2 divided by 1/4. -2 divided by 1 ABC4. And we get -8 equals P. We box or circle that answer, and there you go. If you can do all those, you're in great shape for tomorrow. See you then.